First, let's get this out of the way. No, I don't hate Helluva Boss. I enjoy it a lot, actually, like a guilty pleasure. It's an experience more than it is compelling. It's because I enjoy it that it upsets me when certain key factors seem to be ignored or glossed over. This is me saying, I love you, but please do better because you're hurting yourself so badly right now. And in this video, I want to talk about Octavia and her neglected relationship to her mother after the wake of the Season 2 finale. This is also me dipping my toes into essays like this. I have a much bigger one planned around angel dust, but this one is relatively small so I can figure out how I want to format things and be better prepared for the bigger one. I want to make it clear that I think Octavia's behavior as a teenager is believable, and her issues are very much issues teens would have. Teens blame themselves all the time for their parents' misgivings. They personalize things to an extreme and can't really process well that their parents can have problems outside of them. They can't understand complex situations and emotions that adults have to go through, and only see the world through their own perspective. They won't listen to reason, and will shut people down if they feel slighted.
And you needed these! Was this my fault that you needed these?
No, never, Via, sweetie, please. You have always been the only good thing in my life.
So does that mean you just stayed miserable because of me? Was I some fucking obligation? Is that why you didn't even hesitate when you got a chance to leave?
So, for Octavia to think, I'm keeping my dad hostage so he doesn't want to be with me, instead of my dad was being held hostage by royal expectations, makes a lot of sense if she doesn't understand the true nature of her parents' relationship. Teens also hold on to the things they were told when they were little. Things have a much higher importance than they would to an adult.
You lied to me.
What?
You lied to me! You said you would never leave me! You promised!
So, for example, this amazing thing her dad promised her when she was little being forgotten about when the time came for him to keep that promise, seeing Azathoth's tears. Him forgetting it, to her, was him forgetting her because of the divorce and therefore meant he hated Stella more than loving her.
He'd rather spend his time just screaming at my mum. Why does he hate her more than he loves me?
When that is far from the case. The man was just under a lot of stress, and anyone under that kind of stress can easily forget what day it was, especially if no one was giving him any reminders and he's being expected to just remember without them. I'm not defending him forgetting about this event, by the way, but there's definitely a good reason he forgot, and it wasn't because he didn't love Octavia. Octavia has every right to be upset, though. Her dad doesn't have his priorities straight, and he's been neglectful as of late in multiple ways and broke multiple promises without actually sitting down and telling her honestly what is wrong.
You need to understand, your mother and I felt... She's always been... I haven't been... We weren't in... I'm sorry, I don't have the words.
He's too busy trying to protect an image with Stella and himself that he can't just tell Octavia what's wrong with Stella in the relationship. Especially because if he did try to tell Octavia, he'd only prove Stella right in her accusation that he's trying to turn Octavia against her.
Apparently, your mother can't exist somewhere 2 minutes without the entirety of her possessions before she... What? No, I'm not turning her against you. Yes, Stella!
Stolas also crossed multiple boundaries with Octavia by being so openly flirty with Blitz in front of her, when she was so ready dealing with the stress of the divorce and fighting.
Why, hello, my big Blitzy.
What?
Dad!
Language, everyone!
Her issues around her father are very well handled, but there's a problem here. Those are her only issues. She only has problems with him. She doesn't show a problem with her mother, or her duties as the next heir. She doesn't have a problem with who she is, or what she's doing, or will do, or what's expected of her. She puts everything squarely on Stolas, and it makes her come off as very one-note. Anytime she shows up, it's about her dad, which makes her end up being repetitive rather than complex. Meanwhile, we have been given absolutely nothing about how she feels about her mother. She wonders why Stolas hates Stella more than he loves Octavia, but doesn't question the same of Stella. Does this mean she hasn't noticed even remotely how obsessed her mother has been about getting back at Stolas? Does this mean her mother has been showing her some form of love? Is her mother telling her these things about Stolas, that he doesn't love Octavia? We don't know, and that's the problem. Her only direct interaction with her mother is when her mother fake comforts her during the trial in the finale, and it comes off as wildly out of character for Stella because we've never seen a compassionate bone in her body. I just can't believe she's managed to keep up this act around Octavia the whole time. If we have more interactions like this as a consistency, that would help, but this is by itself, it just tells us basically nothing other than, boo, Stella bad and manipulative and actually doesn't care about her daughter's well-being, and that Octavia falls for it. This just makes Octavia come off as insanely ignorant, that all she ever does is shut out all the bad Stella does with her music, and that maybe she's even taking her mother's side. But if she is, we don't know the details of why. She had said there was a time when her parents didn't hate each other, and there are lots of supposedly happy family photos on the wall, but for how long has Stella shown her nastiness? Did it all come out after her ex-husband cheated on her with an imp and humiliated her? Was she holding on to a sweeter persona for Octavia, and if so, why? When she's clearly willing to hurt and manipulate her daughter, why put in that effort? What would she get out of it? I'm sorry, but this woman seems too goddamn stupid to keep up an act like that for long. I'm not buying it. Honestly, it would have been much more compelling if her mom wasn't a Saturday morning cartoon villain and actually did love her daughter, but no, we have to make her pure evil so that there's no chance anyone can sympathize with her. And even if we go pure evil, I don't know what Stella gets out of her daughter other than status and holding it over Stolas' head that Octavia is with her now. I have to wonder how present was Stella during Octavia's childhood. Was she cold and Stolas was the only present parent, making it hurt all the more that he's now absent? Was she a reliable parent who keeps promises? Was she affectionate and mothering? Does Octavia have affection for her mother? Does she think she's annoying? Does she hate her? Does she ignore her? Is she indifferent to her? Does she only merely tolerate her? What is making her the better parent in this situation that Octavia is willing to stand up for her? Octavia may be a side character, but she is one that we are supposed to care about, and it's harder to care when we only know her opinion of literally only one thing, her dad. It's harder for me to feel for her when I don't know what her opinion of anything else is, or how much she's actively turning a blind eye to things, or if she's really so ignorant. If any of that information was there, it would drastically change how I feel about her. If she's ignoring the problem, I'd be more annoyed at her. If she's ignorant, I'd root for reality to hit her, and wonder how the hell Stella kept up appearances. Another issue is seeing how both parents influence her personality. You can see she has a similar way of coping that Stolas does, but what else does she get from her parents? Or are we just supposed to assume she's just a broody and angsty teenager because that's what teens do, and she's going through a divorce? There should still be some other clear indicators of how her parents influenced her, but the only influence she's been shown is the anger she's built up for her dad. Perhaps this anger in part comes from Stella, but we don't really know. Without knowing Octavia's relationship to her mother, it's really hard to understand what she's getting from the relationship, or how much Stella has influenced who she is, what she believes, and what choices she makes. She feels so detached from Stella now that it comes off like she's spending most of her time just ignoring her mom. Seriously, a majority of the time Stella and Octavia are seen together, Octavia is ignoring her while listening to her music.
I want this cheating prick dead. I don't care who you have to go through. Make it happen!
Maybe the only parent she actually gives a shit about is Stolas, but if this is the case, it'd mean she's letting herself be willfully ignorant to her mother's behavior. I hope that Season 3 will explore that dynamic a bit more, because as it stands, it feels kind of unfair that everything bad is being put on Stolas and Stolas alone, while Stella is being ignored entirely, even though she's clearly a problem too. I'm surprised Octavia hasn't tried to run away from home, in all honesty, but perhaps she's too much of a recognizable figure to do so. Or maybe Season 3 will be the last straw and she will. Perhaps living with her mother without Stolas there will help her see who her mother really is, especially now that Stella doesn't have someone to target anymore. I have hopes, but not high expectations, that these issues will be addressed, as Vivzy really doesn't explore female characters very much, which has been a real shame. Like I said, this essay wasn't going to be very long, so that's really all I have to say on the matter. I'll be working on my Angel Dust essay next, but it might be a while since it's at least 3 times as long as this one. If you like this video and want to see more, consider subscribing, and feel free to share your opinions on Octavia, Stella, and this video. Side note, oh my god, her tears go over her hair in the finale, I hate that!